The mark of a great broth is that jiggle.
Beak to behind.
Beak to behind. Just look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's so good.
No, the other way. Go a little more. Good.
There you go, folks. I'm Sean, the Modern Yeoman, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Homestead. If you celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope it went well. As for us, our Thanksgiving went really awesome, and I'm proud to say that the centerpiece of our Thanksgiving meal was actually the chickens, the meat chickens that we raised here right on the homestead. In addition to the sweet potatoes that we grew in our garden and deviled eggs from our hens, I'm happy to say that a large portion of our Thanksgiving meal was grown or raised right here on the homestead. In fact, we had so much chicken that I think we have quite a bit left over. Isn't that right, Holly?
Yes, we have a lot. We cooked up 3 birds because I was thinking about replicating a turkey size, and so I cooked up 3 birds, and that was a little bit too much for our gathering, so we have tons of leftovers.
We've got lots of leftovers left. We're gonna be eating a lot of this chicken for a long time.
This is just one container that we have left over of just pulled chicken. What was the name of the bird breed that we had?
This was the Murray McMurray is the name of the hatchery, and
Red broilers.
it's the big red broiler.
Okay.
And they were big. They were big.
They were big.
People often compare them to the Cornish cross, and these were, I don't know how they were in comparison with the Cornish cross, but we got a lot of meat. So from 3 birds, we were loaded up with meat. And as you can see
and there was a lot of, this is a lot of breast meat here on top, but you can see there's a lot of darker meat. Sean and I love darker meat, and a lot of the thigh and legs and wings and stuff had a good bit of darker meat. It's very flavorful. We really like it.
We smoked it.
Yeah, we smoked it in the smoker.
We smoked the 3 birds, and it was a great idea. And now we're gonna be eating chicken for a long time. There's also a couple of other things we made. We saved all the innards, except for the guts, obviously. So the livers, the hearts, the gizzards. We also saved the necks and the legs. And what did you...
The feet.
The necks and the feet. And what did you do with those?
I made the best chicken broth I've ever made in my entire life. And I'm a bit of a broth snob, and I was impressed with myself.
I would actually like some of that broth right now.
Okay,
Can we
well,
cook some up?
first we have to show it off, because now there's different types of broth. There's bone broth and there's meat stock, and people get very technical and up in arms about it. But I made a broth with necks and feet from our chickens. And what else did I throw in there? Onion, carrot, garlic, peppercorn, salt, apple cider vinegar, just a really basic broth recipe. The mark of a great broth is that jiggle. This is so gelatinous.
It's like Jell-O. It's chicken Jell-O.
It won't even move, and that's a ton of gut healing nutrients and just amazing nose to tail goodness. Although in case of a chicken, would it be nose to tail or would it be
Beak to tail.
beak to
Beak to behind.
beak to behind? Beak to behind goodness right here. So Sean has been wanting this nonstop, as have I. So let's heat some up.
So do you just plop this gelatinous goodness in?
Plop is the right word because it plops. It does not pour, it plops. I like to pour it in the mug before I pour it in the cut in there because otherwise you have extra. So just take this off. I'm gonna get a spoon to help with plopping. So, I mean, just look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's so good.
From our chickens. I wonder if I could just eat it as is in Jell-O form.
You can, absolutely.
Something just doesn't feel right about
That got brought up at our Thanksgiving dinner. Sean's mom was talking about horrible Jell-O recipes from the 50s. People used to do really weird things with Jell-O in the 50s. They used to make aspics where they'd put like olives and hot dogs and spam in these intricate Jell-O molds, and then you'd slice it up. It was just, we don't do things like that anymore.
No.
So
all right, that's gonna go down. That's gonna simmer down a little bit.
Simmer down now. But do you dare me to eat some
try
chicken
some
Jell-O?
out. Oh, you took a big old spoonful. How is it?
That's so good.
Yeah, chicken Jell-O.
I can get down with chicken Jell-O.
Okay,
as
all
long as
right.
we don't go putting hot dogs and olives
And onions
and green
and-
food coloring. And here goes the plop.
Oh boy, it's got the noise and everything. Hot cup of chicken broth.
That might burn
From
your lips.
our chickens. All right, I'm gonna give this a shot.
Don't burn
guys.
your lips.
Oh man, that is incredible. That is so good. It's silky. It's got so much, I hate to say chicken grease, but
Well, there's a little bit of fat on the top.
It's chicken fat,
Mostly
essentially.
what's in there is gelatin, but there is a little bit of fat on the top.
so this stuff is incredible, and it's also good for you, right, Holly?
Yes, it is.
You want some? Oh, that is so good.
That is way too hot. How are you drinking that?
Very carefully. But what do you think? It's great, isn't it?
Ow! Yes, it's delicious and painful.
Delicious and painful. We are gonna enjoy this cup of steaming chicken broth, and then I'm gonna gear up and get ready to do some chores with the tractor outside. The very first chores that this tractor will undertake. I think it might be interesting, so I'm gonna enjoy this, and I hope you stick around, and let's take care of some stuff out there. Now, those of you that watch the channel regularly know that last week my good friends Nate and Katie Kramer delivered our tractor to us, and it was quite the delivery. They hauled that thing all the way from northwest Arkansas to East Tennessee. It's quite a long drive for a multi-ton tractor, bringing it out here on a trailer. And as much as I'd have liked to spend time playing with the tractor, I really haven't had much time to do it. The very first thing I really want to accomplish with the tractor is maintaining it, finding out its maintenance schedule, getting it ready for the winter. One of the very first things I'll probably have to do is break down and buy the original manual, just so I can get a sense of the maintenance schedule of this thing and know all the ins and outs of it. And that's kind of what I'll be focusing on, at least in the winter. But after that, there's tons of projects I'm thinking of already with this thing. Clearing out the the brush in the back pastures is a big one. Knocking over this old trailer, this dilapidated trailer in the woods on our property, bringing up some junk, maybe hoisting some trees up, some fallen trees up out of our woods, things like that. There's one project, a pretty simple project, a very simple task that I wanted to take on today, and I figured I might as well put the tractor to its very first test. Now these hay bales, there's 3 hay bales, and they're not the heavy hay bales, but suffice it to say, they're down here in the bottom level of our barn. And whenever it rains, moisture pulls up in this spot, and these things have a tendency to get wet, which I don't want to happen. So what I'd like to do is get these hay bales up in the hayloft. They're pretty heavy and cumbersome for one person to haul up a ladder on his own. So I figured, why don't I use the tractor to get these things hauled up there? And so I'm going to ask my dad for help. And I think we can probably put this tractor to use, its very first task, with getting these things up. It's a simple task, a very simple chore, but not too complicated that I need to be worried about making sure everything's maintained and all the grease points are greased. It's just a very simple task. I think the tractor can handle it. Let's give it a shot. Definitely wasn't hard, but it definitely wasn't super easy either. It was the very first time I did something like that. Yeah. I figured it was just kind of a very simple task that we could take on with the tractor, something that we'll probably do in the future, right, when we're bringing stuff up there.
Kind of the learning curve where you've got to kind of initially go through the motions, get comfortable.
Yes.
Which you did. I mean,
yeah,
you did that well.
And I think it's definitely going to remain a 2-person job.
Just for spotting.
Just for spotting.
There's some tight squeezes.
Yes. Just even getting in and out, I think, requires probably 2 people of its current parking spot under the lean-to. I mean, I could probably risk it, but there's a lot of clearances that I just can't see when I'm backing up, at least. So I think it's always going to be a 2-person job, at least for the near future when we're using that tractor. But right. I think for our very first chore with the tractor,
got some bales of hay.
We got some bales of hay up in the hayloft.
It's a success. Count it as a win.
I think it works. So thank you, Dad. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Not a problem.
All right.
Like a boss.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for spotting me. So there you have it, a very simple task, but one that I wanted to do just to prove to myself that I could start getting stuff done with this tractor. Suffice it to say, there won't be any big projects that I take on with this tractor, at least until the spring. I'd like to learn how to take care of the thing first, especially as winter is coming on. So I think my next move is going to be getting a manual for it, or at least finding some YouTube videos, YouTube University, ways to start adopting a regular maintenance schedule for it and winterizing it. Both things which I'd like to take on here very soon. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. And until I see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.